Hey, PDHP parents and community. How are you doing today? It's Carrie Ann Fitzgerald from the Program for the Development of Human Potential. And I'm talking to you this Tuesday about our preventive parents piece. Last week, we went through the ideas of why children will use substances, alcohol, marijuana, tobacco in its forms, vaping. Um, how to start to talk to them about this use. It's probably younger than we expected it to be. And today, let's talk a little bit about those tween and teenagers. So, interesting. I have tween in my house. Mm-hmm. And I notice, as I'm reading these, it's like, yes, this rings true. This rings true. This rings true. There's a lot more risk at this age. And why is that? Because we see a couple of things going on when our kids are in middle school, junior high, what have you. Puberty plays a role. So we have those hormones going on. We have their independence. Naturally, they're attuned to want a little more autonomy. This is a good thing. However, we also see that they're questioning authority more and more. Not a bad thing. But they require more and more of our input as parents. And sometimes I think we start to think, okay, good, I can kind of push away because of that independence. But please don't diminish your role in any way. More than ever, they're going to need that advice and that input from you. It's the most important thing at this point to have a discussion about alcohol and other drugs. A lot of times we see risk levels heightening around this time, so it is a good time to start the conversation. When we do a little more intensive piece here in PDHP, we call it Guiding Good Choices. It's parent curriculum. And not only does it talk about drugs and alcohol, but it just talks about the management of the household at this age group. One of the things that's really interesting is that we start allowance of parents from 4th grade through 8th grade to attend this particular session. And a lot of people kind of question that. Well, why? Well, 4th grade, you want to start to have your words and your bearings and start to look ahead, that this is something that could occur, that this is something that, will be a conversation that I want to be aware of, that I want to be prepared for. So for this point, rules and consequences need to be really clear, because this is really what kids will need. What are the rules and consequences, not just of drugs and alcohol, but maybe of peer group, time that's supervised, time that's unsupervised, curfew, even with your social media curfew, okay? Clear concepts are the best. Conversation, even though difficult, are the best. Discussing real life situations, brainstorming ideas how to solve. And this is where it's very awkward for us as parents, maybe talking about what would you do if, would you rather this or that, even role playing. I had a parent who said to me, I felt so awkward doing this role play with my kids, and they laugh about it. But you know what? We forget they're playing, role play. They're playing and they're getting things out of it, because what will happen is eventually they'll have a place to recall. I've seen a situation like this before. I did this with mom and dad. I was able to say this, or I was able to do this, and you know what? I feel confident in being able to say this in this particular piece when I'm with my friends. We're never told how to say no to our friends. We talk about stranger danger, things like that. We're never told how to say no to our friends. Interesting, right? Conversation around a friendship is really important. When we have peer pressure in play, what about that child who's been a friend for a long time, who's given into peer pressure and now is offering your child drugs or alcohol? That's a conversation that maybe cannot go on when there's an offer. because that increases peer pressure. It's very risky for our children to be involved with peers who are actively seeking out drugs and alcohol. And it's a really hard line because some of these kids are kids that, we've known forever. Give kids facts and statistics. That is something that they really like at this age, that concrete idea. But it also takes away that concept of fear. Remember, it's always about fact, not about fear. Facts over fear. So capitalize on that. This is by far the most difficult time your child will go through. And for us as parents, sometimes we forget that. We've gone through it too. Puberty can affect your self-confidence, cause insecurities and doubts and vulnerabilities, where peer pressure can pick up, and this risk now becomes real. So praising, keeping things positive on your part as parent fosters the bond that's needed, and it also boosts their self-esteem. And of course, we talk about teen years. When we're talking about those teen years, a few years ago, one of the principals I was working with said at 8th grade, at the end of 8th grade, she wanted to do this Preventive Parents workshop in June, right before graduation, because she felt it was the most pivotal time to have this information as parents as they were going into high school. Because now the peer group kind of changes. And now, yes, that independence takes over a lot more. Your role is still important, but it definitely is a transition. High school and college are critical transition periods. Most teens are still willing to discuss these ideas with their parents. So capitalize on that and keep your conversations open. This way you'll understand their thoughts and their feelings, and this way you can also get information out there to them on all these possibilities of consequence, of death, of injury, of driving under the influence, of sexual assault and alcohol use, of violence and alcohol use, that you need to keep your kids safe. Teens are often idealistic, so appeal to that. When we talk about something for the greater good, they'll often capitalize on that themselves. There are a lot of people who still feel that this is just a rite of passage. Drugs and alcohol play a role maybe with your juniors or seniors, high school prom, going into college. This is just a part of it. But it is such a risk, and it's such a thing that we can use prevention for as parents. So continue to address and be clear that drinking is not permitted. When someone is offering them a ride, again, going back into that idea of talking about different scenarios, role-playing it out so that they're familiar. What would you do if someone's under the influence and wants to give you a ride home from that party? What's the idea? What's the plan, parents? And as they're going out and socializing with their friends and their peers, be available after. I know that sometimes they're coming home late, but be up and be present for after that so that you can see what's going on. You can kind of debrief the evening, see if everything is okay. And if you're noticing that there has been use, even just that one time, consequences need to be put into play right away. Don't minimize underage use. And when we talk about older teens, if you're talking about college as that transition again, when you're looking into colleges, look at their alcohol policies to see what is expected. Discuss that with your child. Remind them the dangers of binge drinking. Remind them the dangers of alcohol poisoning. There are a lot of campaigns that are out there, not just on campus, but in social media, for us as parents, for the kids, that will keep you up to date on fact. So make certain that you take advantage of that. And it could just be checking in with us, checking in with New York City Prevention Resource Center for those stats and those facts that we want to keep up to date on, okay? Um, so, parents, don't be afraid of having those conversations with the kids. Sometimes it's just a simple statement that you have to make, and the ball will start rolling. You will do everything you can to keep your kids safe and well and healthy. This is a conversation that you can do, and of course we're here for support. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, message me, ask me, and we can go through it. Take care. Have a great day.